So when I decided to start this project, the first thing I needed to do was go get a model of the vehicle. I'm not a modeler. That's a whole other process when it comes to 3D. And I really just needed to be able to go somewhere and grab a model just so that I can rig it up to create my car demo. I always refer to when it comes to finding vehicles as CGTrader.com. You can actually go right in here and type up the type of object or model that you're looking for. And I put Chevy Camaro and literally type in ZL1 and boom, here you go. All these models of the car comes up. The one I happened to pick for my car demo was this one because I saw a black one when I was on a highway and it looked very similar. So I said, let me just go ahead and grab this model and use it. And there's commercial licenses for this. This one here is just a royalty-free license. It's just real cheap, really just $7. Really not that expensive at all. So if you ever need models for any type of demo, CGTrader is a really, really good place to go to get all of your necessary assets. So when I started brainstorming about for the actual car demo itself, I was trying to think of the images and where I wanted to have the vehicle. So we all heard of AI and AI-driven content. I went to Shutterstock just to use they have an AI generative tool where you actually can prompt some words in and just see what you can actually get. And this is great for when it comes to just trying to figure out or just get ideas for moods, looks, camera angles, what things are going to look like. And you'll see some of my references that I have here for the VDBs, which is the car dust smoke that I had created and simulated in Cinema 4D. And I'll make sure I show you guys that really simple process as well. But yeah, AI, this is what AI is supposed to be used for. Getting ideas on how something is going to look or getting some angles or getting some colors. Of course, you can't use this as a final product because I'm doing animation. And then I'm not sure how much actually this was cost either. But it's really great to just be able to go in and just say, just try a keyword such as if I say Camaro on desert. Camaro driving on desert. This would be a lot better. Camaro driving. I'm trying to spell it right. Camaro driving desert. I'll say foreshortening, which is actually a photography and art technique. Foreshortening, angle, maybe, and I'll use the rule of thirds or something, and that's another design term. So I'm becoming a prompt engineer and seeing what actually AI generates. So let's go ahead and click on this generate and see, just to show an example of just kind of like what I'm thinking and to see what AI gives me once I put in just some simple prompts. I can probably get more deeper than this. I just wanted to show a demonstration of how to perhaps use AI to get ideas for your storyboards, for your mood boards, for your design, just for some ideas. And look, it came up with some pretty nice, simple ideas. So like this actually is a pretty nice angle right here to use, and so is this one. But anyway, I just want to just share that with you, just kind of that part of the process of just getting ideas and using AI, using place like Shutterstock. I mean, there's thousands of them out here because there's like an AI arms race to use, but just to get some ideas just so you can actually implement it into your project. Once you download your car from CGTrader and import it into your 3D application, this is what it looks like. I happen to use Cinema 4D, which is my favorite because of the integration between Aftereffects and Unreal. They all work and play and talk well together. So it's just my preference. But if you use Blender or Studio Max, you pretty much have the same thing. So what you see here is this little green outline. This is called a rig, and rig is where you actually set up the rig so you can control the pieces in the car. So We're seeing here like a low polygon model of the vehicle, and polygons are what makes up 3D, and polygons are made up of triangles. And I'm not going to get into the math of it, but this is what you actually see once you are working in 3D. You don't expect to see the high resolution version because you actually have to have a lot of computing power to see that. So this actually allows artists to work very efficiently and fast in setting up cars. So these green boxes are what we're going to be controlling in Unreal, but you actually have to program and set these up in Cinema 4D so you can create a puppet for your car. So here is what the puppet looks like without the car body. It looks like a grasshopper, but these are the pieces that will get programmed in Unreal Engine. So you can actually steal the car and make the car look like it's drifting or going in a certain direction, because it's on illusion once you get inside your 3D environment, in this case, Unreal Engine. When it comes to setting up the rig, I'm not going to show you how that's done. That's a whole other process. If you're interested in learning on how to rig up a vehicle, I can make another video of that. So just put in the comments that you'd like to see that, or you can just go online and just Google it, and you will actually get a lot of information on how to rig a car. There's going to be a variety of tutorials out there because depending upon what you're doing, certain rigs apply to a certain type of vehicle depending upon the size and the scale. But that's a whole other tutorial and technical hurdle. Here we are inside of Unreal Engine after I actually had imported the FBX file from Cinema 4D. So you can actually see the thumbnails right here of the actual car itself. And this is where you get to have all the fun in setting up the car to drive in different environments, for it to drift, for it to peel out, for you to basically control the car through animations. As you can see here, this is the actual rig from Cinema 4D. So this right here is what you call a blueprint. Yes, this looks crazy, but this is how you program the car. And these are called nodes. And pretty much nodes are like little pieces of code that you put together so that you can actually talk to the car rig itself. So you can, for example, make the car pretty much do anything you want by setting up a variety of controls to animate. So that's what these little programming boxes are. You actually can just drag inputs in. So over here is where I'm rotating the tires, for example, for steering. So I have a control here with this yellow half circle that allows me to control the actual steering in the direction of the car, for example. And that's all due because of the programming that you see on the right-hand side with the blueprints. You can actually add suspension if you want to. So here I have a control where I can move the tire up and down. And I also have another control that actually spins the tires, so I can make the tires look like they rotate, because we're pretty much setting up illusion in 3D to give the car life as if it's driving. So one thing about controlling your objects programmatically, it's very flexible. You can actually apply this exact same control rig to a variety of cars. And the benefit of using blueprints like this is that you can apply this to a variety of different vehicles. This is the exact same concept that characters are controlled in video games. Remember, Epic is a gaming company, so they allowed all the concepts for animators, whether if it's a car, whether if it's a model. You can apply the same programming concept to a character or any model you wish to control and animate. Here I wanted to share with you the garage scene, behind the scene setup that I have here in Unreal Engine. So this is the interface of Unreal Engine. It's like pretty much any other software that has this timeline base where you can actually control all your objects on a sequence timeline. So I just want to just go over of just thinking about having to shoot something like this in real life. One advantage of doing everything in 100% digital, 100% 3D is you actually get to control the environment. You also don't have to worry about permits. You don't have to worry about camera gear. You don't have to worry about all the logistical objects that cost a lot of money when it comes to shooting. So here's my Unreal environment, and I just kind of wanted to show you just how it looks. You can move around actually like you're playing a video game. I just wonder how challenging this would be to shoot for real versus doing it digitally. Like, for example, like this dolly right here. Imagine trying to build this custom dolly around the pillars of an actual garage and how long that would take versus when you do it digitally, just right here, you can just drop it in here. Now, when it comes to the cameras, look how many cameras I have in my scene. And the reason why I have a lot of cameras is just so that I can really capture every single angle of the vehicle animation. So let me just count here: one, two, three, four, five, six, and I actually have 8 cameras in here. And this, imagine having to have to rent 8 cameras in order to capture every angle of the vehicle just to try and get it all in one shot. Versus if you just had like 2 cameras or just 3 cameras, imagine you would have to move all the cameras, and you would have to actually set up each shot and how long that would take. But to do this in real life would take 30 to 40 days just to shoot something like this in real life versus when you do it in digital, you can cut that time down in a week because you just don't have all the logistical problems. So let me just show you the car just animating in Unreal Engine. This is just so you can just get an idea of what it looks like behind the scene of the car in its environment. You can see how I'm animating the camera to get some of those really, really nice shots just to pull off and make it more visually interesting. And being a creative person, you get to have all these options of using and switching between different cameras. Like check this camera out right here. This one like follows the car as it drives by, and every time the car moves or animates, I control this so I can have as many cameras I want. I can just switch between each and every single one of them just so I can capture as much detail as possible and see what the composition looks like. And the cinematics features of Unreal Engine, integrating it with 3D, just makes it just such a really fun tool to use. And this camera here, I actually told this camera to follow the car as it drove by just to give it a really, really cinematic effect. Having fake digital cameras, you don't really have to worry about having or damaging the car or real cameras. Like, for example, this final shot that I have with this camera that's literally is right in front of the car. Can you imagine trying to do that in real life? The car actually can drive through the camera here digitally and nothing but brakes in order to get that shot. Doing this in real life would be a challenge. How would you get a car, sorry, to drive really, really fast without pretty much smashing the camera into pieces? If you had the budget for that, God bless your heart, but most camera people don't have that sort of budget for that. So let's take a quick peek through just like all the scenes on my timeline here. Let me get these objects out the way real quick. All right, so here we go. So yeah, these are the variety of shots right here looking through all the cameras, just so you can just see how it was built. There's an advantage of using Unreal Engine. It has the ability to instantly view your changes made to your animations. This like allows for rapid iteration and fine tuning before you export out to After Effects for your final composite. I want to show you the behind the scenes of the desert shots that I created in Unreal Engine. And this is a desert that actually I downloaded from the Unreal Marketplace. And you can download these assets to use throughout your projects. And some have a cost to them, and there are licenses that you can use as well. But from a logistical perspective, imagine having to shoot a surreal, of having to actually go to the desert on location, carry all your camera gear, carry all your dollies, have batteries and generators to power up those batteries. Think of the weather may change on you. It'll be really, really hot. You gotta feed people. Just going through that whole process is very expensive and time consuming. And the beauty of doing things digitally, especially when it comes to products, you have so much flexibility in a commercial scene like this because of you're cutting out half the expense of having to worry about logistical nightmares that cost a lot of money. For those who are camera operators, Unreal Engine allows you to actually set up cranes and have cranes with cameras on the end of them. And you can see here, this crane dolly has a camera attached to it for a few shots that I had used. Having a number of cameras gives me so much flexibility just to see what angle I'm using. You can have as many cameras as you like, just to get all the shots that you're looking for. And this is what makes Unreal Engine so art directable in an environment. You have so many options, so many different ways of capturing the essence of the product that you're shooting. So just like in real life, you have cameras, you have your rigs, you have everything that you would use on a normal shoot, except for it's all digital. And that's the beauty of just using this technology to create product ads. And it's very, very simple to do as well once you kind of get around this interface and understand it. From a marketing perspective, you can have a variety of shots, a variety of environments, a variety of car colors, or A/B testing to see what gives you the best KPI performance results without having the big expense of having to go to every location to shoot a commercial for a specific product. Just to show you how you can actually edit inside Unreal, and you can actually see all my shots that I have here. You can see all the angles of where actually the camera is rotating. Gives an idea of how your car is going to look in the final output for any illusions that you're creating to give the illusion that you're actually driving a car. So again, if I was a creative director, look how many options that I have to be able to just show different angles and to really capture somebody's attention based off of the camera motion, for example. For a real camera, it would be very difficult to do this sort of shooting because if you get too close to the car, you may end up smashing the vehicle, which will cost you more money. And even here, I got my camera crane rig in the middle of the window of the car, and because it's digital, I can just turn it off and we can see it. But in real life, can you imagine that crane just coming down and smashing the window? How much that would cost? Man, that would just again be a nightmare. But this is the beauty of using this technology to create digital products in the design world. So this software was originally created by Epic Games, which is a gaming company. The way they changed their model, so they allowed motion designers and designers to actually use software to integrate within 3D programs to create really good visual products. And the power of Unreal, which is very interesting, is the render times that it has. So let me just show you. Right now, we're looking at the low polygon resolution, and this here is what you call your timeline, or your Unreal they call it the sequencer. And this is all the layers of the car and the environment that I have that I'm able to control, just like any other animation timeline based program. And for right now, let me go ahead and just turn the tires off from spinning, just so we can see once I switch it over to high resolution, so we can just get an idea of what it looks like in this preview window. So Unreal, the reason why I started using Unreal is because I had to figure out a way to get around the bottleneck of render times, and started researching it. Um, let me just turn on the actual dust real quick. Unreal Engine cuts down on render times. None of my scenes took more than 4 hours to render, versus in Cinema 4D, when I would render some things out, it would really can take like 10 to 16 hours. What you're looking at here when it comes to the dust, this actually was done in Cinema 4D. And Cinema 4D has this system called Pyro, which allows you to make smoke and makes fire, and you can actually export out that information into Unreal as well and control it in real time here. So the render times have shortened, the video cards have gotten faster, and now we are able to produce more creative media without having to have a render farm and long waits times of rendering something out. Oh, you made a mistake. Now you gotta send it back to a render farm. It may take another 8 hours just to render. It's another cost. That is being alleviated with the software Unreal Engine. And that's really what drove me into doing research and looking into it. Because from any production perspective, you don't want to have a bottleneck when it comes to rendering. That pretty much kills your pipeline, and it doesn't allow you to be as flexible when it comes to deadlines and being creative. Here we are in Adobe After Effects. This program is used to actually do the final composite of the car commercial that I have put together. So let me kind of describe to you the workflow. So you you go to CGTrader, down your model. Once you download your model, you bring your model into Cinema 4D where you actually set up the car rig. And then from there, once you set up the car rig, you actually export that file out to Unreal Engine. The format is an FBX format. And then in Unreal Engine is where you actually program the rig from Cinema 4D in Unreal Engine to control the car and set up all your camera shots and everything else. What's the whole purpose of using Unreal Engine? Again, when I first started exploring and looking for ways to cut down my render time, After Effects and Unreal Engine do not have that long of a render time. Versus Cinema 4D does take some time out to render. So when it comes to the production pipeline, having a final program like After Effects is like the best way to go because you can actually add visual effects to your footage. You can add, motion blurs. You can add your color correction. This is where you actually can get really creative as an artist. And depending upon your design, you have all sorts of control of how you want your final output to be. So I'm just going through some scenes here in After Effects that I put together. Some shots like this one didn't make the cut. But again, I have a lot of options of how I want to show the final composite output because I'm using a compositing program like After Effects. That way you can really tell the story and really get into honing on the message as well as the look. The one thing that's great about Unreal Engine is that all these programs really work well together. Unreal Engine, Cinema 4D, and again After Effects. So somehow I guess Adobe engineers and Maxon engineers got together and said, "Hey, let's make sure all of our worlds work together." And Epic just jumped on in. So this gives artists a lot of flexibility. They don't have to deal with a lot of technical headaches that kind of happen when you start working in three different software programs, but pretty much they all play well together. So that's the reason why I personally like using them in After Effects. And here you can see how I just added some typography to the right of the car just to kind of give a little typographic message about the horsepower of this vehicle. So let me show you how I did that. Okay, here we go. This is a crypto map right here. Basically, it's a bunch of color channels that allow you to select parts of the car. As you can see here, this example of crypto mat, this is how you actually composite objects behind the car in the scene that you're working on. And this actually exports out from Unreal Engine. So you can see Unreal Engine is actually making compositing very, very simple and pretty seamless going from Unreal Engine to After Effects. So just because of seamless integration between the two, it's really a personal preference that I really like to use. You can use other software programs to do this, but Adobe After Effects happens to be one of my favorites. And also because of the integration with Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop, and other, of course, other Adobe programs. So going between Cinema 4D, Unreal, and After Effects to create digital media videos for whether it's social, whether it's an OTT ad, whether it's a commercial, or it can just be a web short, or whatever the case may be. Using 3D for product design and animation saves a lot of money. It gives you options so you can have a few different types of creative to A and B and test so you can see which piece performs the best. It gives the creative teams options so they can come up with different ideas. That way you can show your clients we have several different ways of looking at your problem, and here's the solution. Because of course, clients, they always have different budgets and different parameters and so forth. So this is just a little bit behind the scenes of the commercial demo that I created. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll definitely get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you for watching.